Hello my fellow animal lovers and history buffs. In today's episode of Animals in History, we're heading back to the Second World War to follow the story of a most unusual military recruit. This one had thick fur, a fondness for beer and a surprisingly steady grip. This is the story of Wojtek. It all starts in 1942 when troops from the 2nd Polish Corps were evacuating the Soviet Union along with thousands of Polish civilians who'd also been deported there back in 1939 following the Soviets' invasion into eastern Poland. On their journey in the hills near Hamadan on the 8th of April, a group of those soldiers and the evacuees came across a young shepherd who was holding a Syrian brown bear cub. The mother had been unalived by hunters. One of the civilian refugees, who was an 18-year-old girl called Inka, was taken to that cub and encouraged the lieutenant who was with them to buy the young bear. The brown bear cub spent the next 3 months in a Polish refugee camp near Tehran, principally under Inka's care. Then in August of the same year, 1942, the bear was donated to the 2nd Transport Company, which later became known as the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. And the little bear was named Wojtek. Wojtek is the shortened name for Wojciech, a Polish name meaning joyful warrior, and that would turn out to be a fitting choice for this brown bear. So began Wojtek's journey with the 22nd Artillery Supply Company of the Polish 2nd Corps. At first, Wojtek was raised like a baby. He was fed condensed milk from a vodka bottle and wrapped in blankets to keep him warm at night. And soon Wojtek grew into a strapping bear, reaching around 250 kg. Now, despite his size, Wojtek slept in tents with the soldiers and he would roughhouse with them and even learn to imitate their movements. Wojtek would drink beer, munch on cigarettes, march and even salute when he was greeted. It's said that Wojtek even learnt to open the beer bottles with his paws, and he soon became the unofficial mascot to all the units that were stationed nearby. When Wojtek's unit was then told they were being posted to Italy 2 years later, Wojtek faced a problem. That's because the army's regulations wouldn't allow animals on military transport. So the soldiers officially enlisted Wojtek as a private soldier, complete with his own rank, paybook, serial number and food rations. This resulted in Wojtek taking part in the Battle of Monte Cassino, one of the most intense engagements in the Italian campaign. Wojtek was said to be an enormous help during this battle, carrying artillery shell boxes that weighed over 20 kg and required 4 men to carry them. This was witnessed by a British soldier at the time called John Clark.
It looked as though it was standing on its hind legs, over 6 foot. And it was carrying something in its arms. And as it came near, we saw that it was kind of a bit bedraggled and it had plenty of hair on it, and its feet were massive, really big. And it kind of walked probably about 10 yards in front of us and then suddenly stooped, put the shell it was carrying, it was a shell, at the trail legs of the gun. Strange to say, after the 3rd or 4th time, it stopped, looked near the right side of the gun and started to climb a tree. To look as though it was looking where the shells were going. It was amazing.
Wojtek's service during the battle earned him promotion to the rank of corporal, and in recognition of Wojtek's popularity and war effort, the 22nd Artillery Supply Company adopted a new official emblem, which depicted a bear carrying an artillery shell. After the end of World War II in 1945, Wojtek, along with his unit, were transported to Scotland. Wojtek became a popular figure amongst the locals and was even given an honorary membership of the Polish-Scottish Association. The unit were demobilised on the 15th of November in 1947, so Wojtek was retired to Edinburgh Zoo, and that's where he lived out the remainder of his days, often receiving visits from the soldiers he served along with. They would call out to him in Polish and toss cigarettes for him to munch on. In 1963, Wojtek passed away, yet his memory lives on with several statues dedicated to him around the globe, including Edinburgh's Princes Street Gardens, Krakow's Jordan Park, Duns in the Scottish borders near where the soldiers were based, and most of these statues show Wojtek standing upright, carrying an artillery shell, just like he did in the war. That's it from me today. If you've enjoyed this tale from the front lines, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more true stories from the world of animals and history. See you next time.